All right, let's dive into one of the most infamous unsolved cases in American history, the Zodiac Killer.
Yeah, it's a case that just won't go away.
Over 5 decades, and it still has investigators and really just anyone fascinated by true crime completely hooked.
I know I am.
So we're going to be using the Wikipedia article on the Zodiac as our main source today.
Great source. Lots to unpack there.
It really is. So, the Zodiac Killer, Northern California, late 1960s.
Time of major change, socially, culturally.
Yeah, definitely. And set against all that, these seemingly random attacks start happening, young couples primarily.
And then, of course, the cab driver.
Right. And all of this just leaves behind so many questions.
Some we might never have answers to. What I find so fascinating is that even after all these years, it's the Zodiac's, his messages, those cryptic ciphers, the way he taunted the police.
And the sheer audacity of it all.
Exactly. It all just captures the imagination.
It really does. It gets under your skin, this case, and it stays with you. So let's set the scene a little more. We've got Northern California, late 1960s. But to really understand the case, we need to start with the victims.
Yeah, the confirmed victims and that chilling correspondence. That started in the summer of '69.
Right, because this wasn't a killer who was content to just fade away. He wanted notoriety. He wanted to instill fear.
Control the narrative.
Exactly.
And he did that through a series of letters sent to 3 major newspapers.
Wow.
The Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner.
I mean, can you imagine being in those newsrooms when those letters arrived? Yeah. With that signature, this is the Zodiac speaking.
Chilling.
Totally.
And those first letters, sent in August of '69, they were more than just claims of responsibility.
Right.
For the first 2 attacks, the Lake Herman Road murders, December of '68,
right, and
then the Blue Rock Springs attack, just a few months later. 4th of July weekend, actually.
Yeah. Stretching into the 5th.
These letters, they included this 408 symbol cryptogram, the what became known as the Z408.
Right.
And along with this cipher was a demand that the newspapers publish it on the front page.
It was an ultimatum.
Publish or face a weekend of more killings. A spree.
Wow. So the newspapers, I mean, they're thrust into this unbelievable dilemma.
Oh, absolutely. Helping a killer versus potentially preventing more deaths.
And then you have the Vallejo police chief. He makes this decision that I think really plays into the Zodiac's ego.
Oh, yeah. He challenged the killer publicly, asked for proof in a second letter.
So it's like he's feeding right into it.
Yeah, it was a gamble.
Yeah.
And it seems like it might have backfired.
Yeah, it emboldened him.
Yeah.
Which leads us to the cipher itself, the Z408. It's amazing to me that this couple, Donald and Betty Hart, and they actually cracked it.
Yeah, just a few days after it was published.
Talk about an incredible feat of code breaking.
Absolutely. It didn't reveal a Zodiac's identity, but it did give a disturbing glimpse into his psyche.
What do you mean?
The message in the cipher, it said he was killing to collect slaves for the afterlife.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't just about killing for him. It was about I don't know, control, extending beyond death. That's a really chilling thought.
Absolutely. And it raises all these questions about the Zodiac's mental state. What could lead someone to believe that? Right.
Like, is this a delusion, a fantasy he's created? This case, it really goes beyond just identifying a killer.
It does. It forces you to think about the darker sides of human nature.
Right.
The motivations for these kinds of acts.
Yeah. I mean, violence like this, it's senseless. And this exploration of, the Zodiac's mind, it takes us to a turning point in the case.
The attack at Lake Berryessa, September 27th, 1969.
Right.
Up to that point, his attacks had been shootings.
Right.
From a distance.
Yeah.
At Lake Berryessa, he gets much more personal.
And terrifying.
Yeah. It was a beautiful day. Sunny. College students, Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard, they're having a picnic on this island.
An idyllic setting.
Yeah. You can't imagine the terror they must have felt when this figure appears.
Yeah.
Out of the trees, wearing this black executioner's hood, sunglasses over the eye holes.
And the symbol, that cross-circle symbol, right on his chest.
Right.
Yeah.
And this time, the Zodiac, he was prepared for a close encounter. He brought clothesline, pre-cut, to bind the victims.
Oh, wow.
And then he stabbed them repeatedly. Cecilia Shepard, she died from her wounds. Brian Hartnell, he was badly hurt, but he survived.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to give investigators these really chilling details of the attack.
The fact that it was so premeditated, it's really disturbing. It's like the Zodiac, he wasn't satisfied with the shootings anymore. He had to escalate, like he was relishing the control and the suffering.
And get this, after the attack, he didn't just disappear. He called the Napa County Sheriff's Department, reported the crime himself from a payphone, just blocks away.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I mean, talk about brazen. It shows how little regard he had for the law, how confident he was that he wouldn't be caught.
That's incredible. The setting, Lake Berryessa, it's such a beautiful place, meant for, relaxation. And then you have this horrific crime. It's a stark contrast.
Definitely. And as if that wasn't enough, before he left, he left something on Hartnell's car door, a message, the dates of his attacks.
Oh, wow.
Like some kind of scorecard. It was chilling. A declaration that his reign of terror was far from over.
Wow. Just, wow. Yeah, that Lake Berryessa attack, it definitely changed things. The Zodiac's, his MO changed, but it didn't stop there. He escalated even more.
Just over a month later, right in San Francisco.
A heart of the city.
October 11th, 1969. Cab driver Paul Stein. That was the Zodiac's last confirmed victim.
And the setting was so different this time, right? It wasn't a lover's lane or a secluded park. It was a busy city street.
Presidio Heights. Totally different from those earlier, more remote locations.
It makes you think maybe he was getting more confident, more willing to take risks, blend in.
That's a good point. So Stein picks up this fare, right? Mason and Geary, drives him to Washington and Cherry. Seems like a normal fare until, Zodiac pulls out a gun and shoots Stein in the head. Just like that.
It's chilling how calculated it was and efficient. He takes Stein's wallet, keys, not many clues left behind. But what makes this case even more frustrating is that there were people who saw it happen, eyewitnesses.
3 teenagers across the street. They saw the whole thing. They even saw the killer wiping down the cab, probably trying to get rid of fingerprints.
He was wiping the cab down right in front of them, and they didn't think that was strange.
Well, that's where things get complicated. The dispatcher, they made a mistake. They said the suspect was black, and the witnesses, they had said the killer was white.
So the Zodiac, he just he blended in right there with the police, and they let him walk away.
It's a tragic error, a missed opportunity. Who knows what could have happened if that hadn't happened.
It's heartbreaking to think about, but of course the Zodiac, he can't resist taunting the police, so he sends another letter to the Chronicle.
And this time he includes a piece of Stein's shirt, a souvenir.
He was proving it was him, toying with them.
Keeping the city on edge. And as if that wasn't bad enough, he threatened to start targeting school children. Imagine the panic.
Oh, yeah. That must have been terrifying for everyone.
Absolutely. The pressure on the police was intense, and that's when those famous composite sketches were made.
The ones we all recognize today.
Exactly. Based on descriptions from the witnesses and what the police had observed, they were everywhere. But even with those, the Zodiac stayed free.
It's like he was a ghost. And then he does something even bolder, something right out of a movie.
He goes on the radio.
He did?
Jim Dunbar's show, AM San Francisco, October 22nd, 1969.
Wow. Live TV.
He demands to speak to this famous lawyer, Melvin Belli. I mean, can you imagine the tension, everyone listening, wondering what was going to happen next?
So what did Belli do?
Belli, he tried to keep him talking, called him Sam, tried to keep things calm. But the Zodiac, he never actually met with Belli.
He just wanted the attention.
Maybe. It's like he was enjoying the control, the manipulation, and then just when it seems like maybe he's gone quiet, he sends another cipher.
Another one.
The Z340. This one was 340 characters long, and it took over 50 years to finally crack it.
50 years. Wow. What did it say? Did it reveal his identity?
No, not his name. But it did tell us more about his thinking. He was bragging about his slaves in the afterlife.
So that belief from the first cipher, that was still very much part of his motive.
It seems so.
It's chilling. But, we've talked about the confirmed victims, the letters, the ciphers, but the story gets even more complicated.
because there are the suspected murders. The Zodiac claimed to have killed a lot more than just those 5 confirmed victims.
So it's possible that that his crimes weren't just limited to Northern California.
Exactly. And one of the cases that gets a lot of attention, it's the Cherry Joe Bates murder, Riverside, California, 1966.
That was 2 years before the confirmed Zodiac attacks, right?
Right. But there are some things that connect the two.
Like the brutality of the stabbing, the fact
Right.
that he was young, attacked near a college campus.
Yeah, and then there were those letters sent to the police in the Riverside Press Enterprise.
And there was that poem carved into a desk at the college. Some people think the Zodiac wrote it.
The language is similar, the handwriting too. But actually proving that the Bates murder was the Zodiac, it's been difficult.
So many possibilities, but not enough hard proof.
That's the thing about this case. It's hard to separate fact from speculation. So many clues, dead ends. They can make your head spin.
And then you have Donna Lass, a nurse who disappeared in South Lake Tahoe, 1970. Her case, it's intriguing.
Because of that postcard, Peek Through the Pines, sent to the reporter, Paul Avery. He was covering the Zodiac case for the Chronicle.
Avery, he was the one who got that Halloween card right from the Zodiac, the one that said, peekaboo, you are doomed.
That's the one. And then this postcard, it arrives in March of 71. It's a collage seen from the Lake Tahoe area, and it had all these phrases like Sierra Club, sought victim 12, peek through the pines, and of course the Zodiac symbol.
So it was like he was leaving clues, haunting them, playing a game.
Exactly. And then a few years later, Lass's sister gets this Christmas card with another cryptic message. It's all very unsettling.
It makes you wonder, was he involved with Lass's disappearance?
It's possible, but again, no proof. Like with the Bates case.
So we have all these victims, potential victims, clues, dead ends. I mean, where do you even begin to look for a suspect?
That's the question that's haunted investigators for decades. They followed countless leads, considered thousands of suspects. But who the Zodiac was, it's still a mystery.
There was one suspect who got a lot of attention, right? Arthur Leigh Allen.
He was the only one officially named as a suspect by law enforcement.
He was a school teacher and a convicted sex offender.
That's right. Former elementary school teacher. Lived in Vallejo, not that far from some of the crime scenes. And his looks, they kind of matched some of the witness description.
And there were those conversations, right, with his friend where he talked about killing people. And he even used the name Zodiac.
Yeah. And the police found a Zodiac watch at his house. Seems incriminating,
Totally.
right?
But didn't his fingerprints and DNA, they didn't match what they had from the crime scenes.
That's right. So despite all the circumstantial evidence, the physical evidence just wasn't there.
So Allen, fascinating suspect, but probably not the Zodiac.
Probably not. And Allen was he was the big one. But there were plenty of others. Like, have you ever heard of the Oceanside cab driver?
Right, the Oceanside cab driver. That was back in '62, right? Raymond Davis.
Yeah, 1962. And that one, it had a cryptic phone call to the police.
Yeah.
And some things about it were similar to the Stein murder.
So it's definitely worth considering.
It is. Yeah. But like a lot of the suspected cases, it's been tough to really prove that the Zodiac was involved. But the fact that they've looked into so many different possibilities, I mean, it just shows you how complex this case is.
For sure. And then there's the recent claim about Gary Francis Post.
Oh, right. He died in 2018.
And this group, the Case Breakers, they said he was the Zodiac. That was back in 2021, I think.
It definitely got people talking.
It did.
But the FBI has been pretty clear the case is still open, and they haven't found any conclusive proof that Post was involved.
So the Case Breakers, their claim, it's mostly based on circumstantial evidence and some photo analysis.
Which is, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been enough to officially link him to the crime.
So we have all these suspects, some more convincing than others, but in the end, we still don't know for sure who the Zodiac was.
It's a mystery, and it's frustrating. All this time, all these investigations, the technology's gotten so much better, and he's still anonymous.
It's like after that 74 letter, he just disappeared. Do we think he stopped killing, or is it possible he died, or maybe got arrested for something else?
It's hard to say. There are theories that he might have died, or maybe ended up in a mental institution, or just decided to, stop. But without knowing who he was, it's all just guesswork.
Some people say that focusing so much on Arthur Leigh Allen that it actually hurt the investigation.
Oh,
well, they say that they put so many resources into Allen, so much time, and it was a dead end. Maybe while they were doing that, they missed other leads, missed a chance to look at other suspects.
That's a good point. Allen became a kind of an obsession for some investigators.
He did.
Yeah.
It's a case full of what ifs, missed chances, and I think that's part of what makes it so so fascinating. And we can't forget about the impact this case has had on pop culture.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. Books, documentaries, movies.
David Fincher's Zodiac.
Such a good.
It is. It came out in 2007, and I think it brought the case to a whole new audience.
It really did. And Fincher, he did a great job of capturing the obsession, how this case just consumed people, investigators, reporters, the public, and it sparked a whole new generation of amateur detectives.
The zodiologists.
Exactly. They're out there poring over the evidence, analyzing those ciphers, debating theories, online, in person. It's become this collective obsession, like this puzzle that everyone's trying to solve.
And I think it's more than just a puzzle. It's
right.
It taps into something deeper, our fears, this idea of a killer, so smart, so in control, taunting everyone, terrorizing a whole community. It's a story that even now, all these years later, it's still it fascinates us. Scares us.
I agree, and I think part of why it's stuck with us for so long is that it represents the unknown. We don't have all the pieces. The story isn't finished, and that lack of resolution lets our imaginations run wild. We fill in the blanks, and we have to face this possibility that some mysteries they might never be solved.
We've covered a lot today. We've talked about the crimes, the victims, suspects, the impact of this case, and honestly, I'm left with more questions than answers, and a feeling of unease.
I get that, but even with all the darkness, the unanswered questions, there's still hope. The investigators, they haven't given up, and you have all these amateur sleuths. They're still searching for answers, and the technology, it's getting better all the time. So maybe, just maybe, someday we'll know the truth.
Maybe one day the puzzle will be complete, the mystery solved, and the shadow of the Zodiac, it'll finally be gone. But until then, it's a reminder that sometimes the monsters, they stay hidden.
Well said. And maybe that's the scariest part, that even in a world that's always searching for order, for justice, some things, they just stay in the shadows.
So if this deep dive has left you wanting more, there's a lot out there. You could check out Robert Graysmith's book Zodiac, or the Fincher movie. There's some great documentaries too. His name was Arthur Leigh Allen. That's a good one. And if you're feeling brave, you can venture online. There are tons of Zodiac forums and websites. But be careful, you might get lost in the maze of theories and speculation.
It's easy to go down the rabbit hole.
But even though the mystery might never be solved, the search for answers, it continues. And maybe that's what's important, the journey itself, the pursuit of the truth and justice.
I like that.
Well, that's it for this week's deep dive. Until next time, stay curious, keep your eyes open, and remember, sometimes the best stories, they're the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.